This is part 2 of our advice for visiting Istanbul as a spiritual seeker. If you're just joining us now, make sure to check out part 1, like, share, subscribe, and thank you for being here. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Peace and love. Welcome to the Travelers Podcast. I'm Brother Ali. This is my advice, my ultimate guide for visiting Istanbul, specifically as a Western traveler who's coming here to have a spiritual experience. I'm going to give you a very specific entire day, places that I would go, places that I would eat, places that I would visit in this particular order. But I'm also going to talk about intention and about manners and culture. And please, please, please don't skip that part. One thing that I can't recommend highly enough is get a Metro card when you get here. If you go to any of the major stations for the train, the ferry, the bus, they have these yellow machines that look like an ATM. You could tell it that you want to do the transaction in English. So you can buy a card there. You can also just lay your card on those machines and add money to it. It's way easier than it seems like it's going to be. And those cards will get you on all the trains, all the ferries, all of the buses, all the trams, all that stuff. And there's an option on the Maps app that you use where you can tell it, I want to take public transportation. It's really efficient. It's really clean. They start and stop really jerky sometimes. So like if you're standing up, make sure you hold on because like it can be a little bit death-defying, but definitely get down with the public transportation. This will be a day in the area called Eminonu. If you're on the water, and you can take the ferry there. It's a beautiful thing to do. One of the major routes is from Üsküdar to a neighborhood called Karaköy, and then the next stop is a place called Eminonu. When you get off the ferry, you can go to Google Maps. Google Maps works really well when you're in Istanbul. I recommend using it, and so does Google Translate. You can also use Apple Maps and different translating apps, but those two work just fine. As soon as you get off the ferry in Eminonu, there's a lot of places where you can eat fish sandwiches. You can do it if you want to. Those fish sandwiches are not very delicious. It's just kind of the novelty, I guess, of eating a fish sandwich. It was probably caught in the Bosphorus. But again, I come from a community in inner city America that was born out of the Nation of Islam. I know what good fish is supposed to taste like, and it's pretty mid. You'll also see people all over the place that are roasting corn. The corn tastes like corn. It's pretty good. My daughters love it. You'll find people roasting walnuts, and you'll find people selling these little like round pieces of bread that they call simit. It looks like a bagel, but it's not a bagel. If you got your mouth all ready to eat a bagel that you would get in New York or something like that, it doesn't taste like that. So try not to get too locked into that idea, because once you embrace the simit for what it actually is, it's really delicious. They're really inexpensive, and actually if you buy them before you get on the ferry, it's a very common thing to rip them up, throw them off the side of the ferry, and birds will come and eat the simit. And if you get lucky, you can actually get them to take it right from your hand. Don't worry, you're not weirding anybody out. It's a really common thing to do. When you get off the ferry, you're going to see a big mosque called Yeni Jami. That's a good place to pray if you want to. But go on your Maps app and look for a place called Coffeetopia. If you're a coffee snob like me that drinks like third wave, specialty Ethiopian, Colombian, Yemeni coffee beans that come from single origin, that's not the norm of what you're going to find. You can go to a place called Petra. They have good beans and they'll brew them for you beautifully. There's another place called Montage with a G. They have good coffee. There's a place called Chronotrop that has good coffee. There's a place in Kadıköy called Story. I'm giving y'all so many gems right now. There's a place in a small neighborhood near Üsküdar called Kuzguncuk called Glow Coffee. Glow Coffee is pretty decent. But if you're doing this day trip that I'm telling you to Eminonu, go to Coffeetopia. They have single origin coffees. They got tea. You can get American style pancakes. You can get smoked turkey sandwich. If you feel like you want to take a break from Turkish food, this is a good place to go. And if you're traveling with kids, you're pretty much good anywhere. There's nobody that's ever not going to be happy that your children are there. Even in like a fine dining place, your kids can be a little bit noisy and nobody's going to be bothered by that. But Coffeetopia is a good place to take the kids because they got clean bathrooms, they got pancakes, they got shakes and all that kind of stuff. So it's a good place to sit down and get on the Wi-Fi and get in some AC if you need to. Directly across the street from Coffeetopia, it looks like a strip mall. So there's going to be like a home goods store, a clothing store, but you'll see these green lights where there's actually two maqams. There's two resting places of two descendants of Sheikh Abdul Qadir al-Jailani, descendants of Ahlul Bayt, the family of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. One is named Sheikh Muhammad al-Jailani. Another one is Sheikh Ali al-Jailani. There is a narrative that those two people actually died in the conquest of Istanbul. So that's a good place to go visit. And it's crazy because it's like right in the middle of something that looks looks like a shopping district. You'll see the green lights. You'll see the two graves there. They're behind glass. And there's usually a man sitting outside that all he does is sit out there and he sells prayer beads and things like that. Talk to him. He doesn't speak English, but he speaks hugs and smiles, and he's a beautiful dude. If you can show him my picture, then be like, yo, this guy sent me to you. Okay, so from where Coffeetopia is, you're going to walk from there back to the main road and put in your Google Maps or your map app that you're going to Rustem, Rustem, Pasha, P-A-S-A, Cami, C-A-M-I. I'm telling you to walk along the main highway because when you do, you're going to come across a special little store. You'll see restaurants and things like that. And those are like kind of touristy places that charge a lot of money and you get the same kebab you get anywhere else. But you'll see a spot where you can actually buy what they call a divan, the old school style Turkish and Arab sofas, a thick and really kind of firm, almost like a mattress that sits on the floor. And then there's another pillow for your back, and then there's square pillows that you lean on. These are old school style couches that are really dope to have in your house, especially if you're Muslim. A set of them is 2,000 lira. So that's about $60 US for the whole set. Also, another thing about that particular place is that they have multiple, like the covers are different. So the most traditional one is like a burgundy-ish reddish kind of color. If you've been to traditional Muslim houses or like a zawiya or a mosque or something like that, they can ship them to the West for you if you want to. They also have like really non-traditional patterns and colors and stuff like that. So that's a place to go. But follow your app and you go around the corner and you'll see that you get into like an old part of the city where there's an old school staircase that will go up in the middle of this urban center with all this trade and all this hustle and bustle. It gets really hot in the summertime. You're going to Rustem Pasha, Cami, Rustem, P-A-S-A, Cami, C-A-M-I. You walk up this old school medieval looking staircase. The staircase alone is worth it. When you get to the top, you're going to find one of the most beautiful oases that you could find in the middle of an urban center. It's raised up and you would think it's elevated so it would be hotter, but in the middle of all the hustle and bustle of this neighborhood, it's quiet and it's cool. And this was designed by Mimar Sinan, the great architect of the Ottoman Caliphate. Not only is he an artist, but he also was an engineer. And so the way that the light works in these places, the way that the air blows in these places is just beyond words. And the feeling that you get when you just walk into the courtyard of this place is really incredible. And if you're able to go inside, it's a small mosque, but it's tiled entirely with these beautiful blue tiles. It's one of the most beautiful places that you'll ever visit and the most serene. They do allow non-Muslim visitors there too. Again, wear socks if you're not wearing socks, wear long sleeves and long pants. You know, fellas, if you got a prayer cap to put on, that's good to do. Ladies, you need to put a hijab on when you go in there. It's just honoring the code of modesty when you go into a place like this. These beautiful blue tiles come from a city that's now called Iznik. My understanding, and this is what Abu Ayyub told me, and forgive me, Abu Ayyub, if I'm making a mistake here, but my understanding is that this city called Iznik, where these blue tiles were developed, it used to be the city of Nicaea, and the councils that were held at Nicaea are where a lot of the arrangements and agreements were made for what Western Christianity would become. Nicaea became Iznik, and Iznik is where these beautiful blue tiles come from. So you can go to the city of Iznik and they've got beautiful ceramics and tiles and things like that with this blue color. That blue color that we call turquoise is that name because the French called the Turks turquoise, and that color became known as turquoise. So that blue color was so linked in the minds of Europeans to the Turks that they called that turquoise. So there's a lot of historic significance. Also, one of the things that you'll see in there, which is incredibly beautiful, on the outside, you'll see a map that's crafted into the side of the mosque of what it looks like when you go to Mecca and enter the area of the Kaaba, that black cube in Mecca with the black stone in the corner that's called the Kaaba, Masjid al-Haram. They didn't have Google Maps. They didn't have YouTube. They didn't have photographs up until the last couple hundred years. From going to the mosque and looking at that map, you would see all of the different places where the different rites of the pilgrimage take place. And so you were able to prepare. So you You hit Eminonu, you get one of those snacks if you want it. You go to Coffeetopia if you want it. You visit Muhammad al-Jailani, Sheikh Ali al-Jailani, Allah have mercy on them. Then you go to the place where they sell the divans, the old school Arab and Turkish style couches on the floor. You know what I'm saying? Get those hooked up. You can send those back to America if you want. Great gift. Then you go up the stairs, you go to Rustem Pasha Jami. And if you can, you make your prayer there. Then after that, you go downstairs, and as soon as you get downstairs, you take a left, and you're going to see a store that sells the ornate Turkish mosaic lamps. Now, you can buy these lamps all over the place, but that's one particular place where you can buy them. And what's cool about that particular store is that the guy there speaks English. Show him my picture if you go there. Tell him, he might know me by Brother Ali, he might not. Show him my picture, be like, hey, this American Muslim rapper guy told me to come here. The thing that's special about that place is that they'll pack them for you so that you can ship them, like they wrap them in bubble paper. If you want to, they'll actually rewire it. So those lamps that you see, it's usually a shape like this, and it's a mosaic. It's like glass, and they decorate it with stained glass to make a beautiful design. It's just a light bulb that they run up in there. Back in the days, they used a candle. Nowadays, they run a light bulb up in there. Now, if you buy one from Istanbul, it's going to be European power. If you live in the West and you don't have European power, they'll actually run an American light bulb up in there so that when you get home, you can plug it in. So that's just another little thing to know. Now, you're going to walk out of there, and you're going to start walking into this crowded area that looks like an old school bazaar area. Like this is an old Marquez selling area where there's going to be all kind of outdoor markets, and you can buy all sorts of things. Knockoff soccer jerseys, they got shaving stuff, they got tea sets, they got all this kind of stuff that you can buy there. And you'll find that a lot of Turks actually do shop there. The prices there are much more competitive, especially at the Grand Bazaar. Now you're going to put in your app that you want to go to the Misr Bazaar, the Spice Bazaar, the Egypt Bazaar. Misr means Egypt, and for Turks at that time, they thought like spices come from Egypt. That's where you go to get spices. And that's an actual building. And as you get closer to that building, you're going to see on your right-hand side a traditional Turkish coffee place. That is one of the most historic, from what I understand, historic and official and legit Turkish coffee places. Turkish coffee is its own style. It's like kind of gritty. They grind the coffee really fine, and they actually brew it with the coffee grinds inside the coffee. There's no filter. And so they scoop some of it off, and some of it goes to the bottom, and you drink some of it. But if you want to try Turkish coffee, that's a really good place to do it. There's perfume stores over there. There's all kind of stuff. When you enter the actual Spice Bazaar, you're entering into a building, and you're going to get a lot of good pictures and footage and things like that. It's got the arches, and there's going to be several rows of stores that are very similar. Like they're all kind of selling the same thing. They got loose leaf tea. They got different medicinal things. These like crystals that you can put in water, in hot water, and breathe them. And they're like mentholated eucalyptus kind of things to clear out your sinuses. You can buy different kinds of candy. This is a good time to talk about what they call Turkish delight. There's different kinds. There's like these little gummy squares that have powdered sugar on them. Those are nice. Those are fine. But a lot of times people buy those and they call those Turkish delight. But they're not all that. I'm sorry, they're just not. What you want to get though is in the Spice Bazaar, and other places have them. It almost looks like candy sushi wrapped up in layers. It's like a roll, and they cut it with scissors. Those things are fire. They're not as cheap as the little gummy square things are that you buy at the airport, but those things are legitimately good. Some of them got like this white chocolate in them. I don't know what the hell is in some of those things, but different types of pomegranate and apricots and different flowers. And man, them things are legitimately really, really good. And so if you buy them there, they'll pack them up for you. There's a place there where you can buy chess sets, ornamented old school kind of chess sets. You can buy covers for pillows. There are a couple of like replica handbag stores inside. There's a particular store, if you're a religious person, one of the stores that sells very similar stuff to the rest of them. You can buy scented oils, you can buy rings, you can buy hijabs, scarves, all that kind of stuff. But there's one of those places that's run by two men that have turbans on, and they have traditional religious clothes on. When I take people there, I like to just buy from the religious people because I'm a religious person, so I like to support them. I'm not necessarily vouching for their oils because I know about rudimentary, and if you're going to buy stuff there, I would say that's a place to go. So you hit the Spice Bazaar. After the Spice Bazaar, the next thing you're going to put into your app is the Suleymaniye. And it's about a 20-minute walk, and it's going to be uphill. So if you want, you can get an Uber. But man, just go ahead and do the walk. Like, you're going to sweat. You're going to probably feel it in your legs if you're not used to walking up hills. But just give yourself time to do it. Before you leave the Spice Bazaar, you can stop and get a little something to drink and eat if you want to. There's places around there where you can get all different types of food. Because if you walk there, you're going to notice the neighborhood start to change. You're going to walk out into the observatory area, and then you're going to spend a beautiful day at the Suleymaniye. So if you want my advice for how to spend a day in Istanbul without a tour guide, that's my advice, and you're welcome. If you take me up on my advice and you go to my places and you start making them hot, please listen to the section about manners. It's really important that when we visit other people, we realize that I'm in somebody else's country right now. These people have been through a lot. They've sacrificed a lot to preserve the things that made me want to come here. So whether they understand that, whether they're nice to me, whatever, I need to be respectful of the culture that's here. So what I'm going to share with you now are me as an American living here with my family for almost 4 years, going back to America, noting the difference, but also really noticing differences when my friends come here to visit. First thing to know is you talk entirely too loud. You just talk loud. Americans talk loud for no reason whatsoever. It's really important to Turks, both religious and secular, that Turkey is very proud of its heritage and of its language. And Turks do not like to hear people speaking English mega loud on the street, in the train, on the balcony, at the mosque, at the restaurant, on the ferry. Trust me, your voice does not need to be nearly as loud as how you're talking. It's just how America is. So just constantly try to think about that. Like, if my voice is reaching from my mouth to a person who's right here, this is the only distance my voice needs to fill up. I mean, there's times where I'd be at a coffee shop with my American friends, and like, their voices are literally echoing off the walls. Like, you're the loudest person in the coffee shop, and you're speaking a language that a lot of people don't really want to hear. You know what I'm saying? And I've noticed that people sometimes get shushed in public, and they're like, yo, what the hell? Like, that's rude. No, you're being rude. There's no reason to talk that loud. You know what I'm saying? Even right now, like, I'm this close to the microphone, so there's nothing wrong with having a conversation just like this. And if you were talking and you didn't want your kids to hear, or you didn't want your spouse to hear, or you didn't want your parents to hear, you would suddenly be aware of how loud you're talking. One of the things that's really interesting is that me and my daughter, like, we ride the train a lot, and I highly suggest getting a card and riding the train, riding the ferry, riding the tram, riding the bus. But when me and my daughter ride the train in the morning, the train station is one of the busier ones. And also the actual trains sometimes are so packed, people have to really smash in together. The trains are almost entirely silent in the morning. Nobody is saying a word. Do not be the person to not only break that silence, but to impose upon it all your loud observations in English. Another thing to know for Muslims is that Turks and Arabs are not the same people. All of these things that we say as Muslims that are Arabic phrases, Turks have a Turkified version of that. If you say Assalamu alaikum, that's the Arabic way of pronouncing it, and that's fine. But understand that they give salams, but they say it with a Turkish accent. Salam alaikum, salamun alaikum. That's how they say it. They don't say Assalamu alaikum. They don't have an ayn in this language. Salamun alaikum. Alaykum salam. So if you come in and say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, MashaAllah, tabarakallah, that's the way that a lot of Muslims talk. That's not necessarily the way the Turks talk. They do say inshallah, but they don't say insha'Allah. They say inshallah. They say mashallah. They say ayvallah. Ayvallah. I just say all that to say, please don't assume that the people here speak Arabic, because there actually is a rivalry between Turks and Arabs that I won't go into, but it's very deep and it was very deadly, and it had a lot to do with the fall of the Ottoman Empire. When we mentioned talking loud, one of the things to not do and to not announce and to not be loud about is the exchange rate and how something is so cheap based on euros or pounds or dollars or yen or whatever higher value money you're spending. So you come into a restaurant, you order food for everybody, and it comes to 1,200 lira. This is like $30. This is nothing. Okay, Turks are experiencing a tremendous economic downturn. It's a major crisis. When I moved here, $1 was 7 lira. Now $1 is 30-something lira. and people who have done everything right in their lives are losing their savings, they're losing their investments. People who are sending their kids to other countries for college, now they can't afford to do it. The Turks are suffering. So don't come in here bragging about it. If anything, it should make us more generous. There are times where people are going to charge us the yabancı price, which means the foreigner price. You're still going to be paying a lot less than what you would pay to get the same thing in a Western country. Now, if you live here, you learn some Turkish, that's different. I don't do that. I know how to tell people straight off the bat, I live here. I'm not a tourist. That price is salty. That's the way they say it in Turkish. They say if the price is too high, it's like, that's salty. Don't brag and exclaim about how the economic downturn and suffering of the Turkish people is meaning that you get to get a cheap meal right now. Just don't do it. You cannot be disrespectful to the founder of the country. You're going to see his picture everywhere, regardless of what we think about Atatürk Mustafa Kemal. You're allowed to think whatever you want. It's actually against the law to disrespect him or to even be disrespectful towards his picture. It's also not good to be disrespectful to the current president of the country. But trust me, this is something that they have sacrificed for as a people to come to as an agreement. So regardless of what you think of either one of those two figures, you're in this country and they've learned how to at least show basic respect to each other's leaders. So we can at least follow suit when we're here. People in Turkey smoke, even religious people smoke, even ladies in hijab smoke. It's something else that they disagree on. You can ask for a non-smoking table. If somebody sits down and starts smoking, nobody's going to say anything to them. You can ask for a non-smoking hotel room. If somebody smokes, there's a chance that nobody's going to say anything. The guy in your taxi, you can ask them not to smoke if they're driving your taxi or something like that. But just understand, people here smoke. It just is part of what it is. One of the things that's beautiful, but it does take some getting used to, is that children are beloved in Turkey. Children are public property. People might pick up your kids. Now, I come from a culture where you don't touch other people's kids. People also care for other kids. If your 3-year-old is running around and she's got sweatpants on and the sweatpant bottoms come up by her knee, some lady will probably take your daughter and pull her pant leg down so it's right, and she'll fix her thing and she'll fix her things and she'll pinch her cheek. They might take pictures of your kids. They're not being creepy. I know it's weird for us, but it's normal. Also, they're just going to feed your kids stuff. And there's really not much you can do about it. They're going to give your kids candy. They're going to give your kids stuff. They might pick them up. They might want to talk to them and they might want to whatever. But also, if you're being a weird foreigner, which you might not be able to avoid, and you don't speak the language, your kids are going to be like a pass for you. Like, they might feel weird about you. They are never going to feel anything other than joy to see your children. And it's true in the mosque. If your kids are running around in the mosque, they're not going to shush your kids and kick you out because of the mosque. If somebody does that, they're breaking the cultural norm, the societal norm. Kids are public property and kids are kind of the boss. You shouldn't be harsh in the way that you pick up your kids or the way you talk to your kids. It's one of the few things that will make somebody say something to you. If you're harsh with a kid, people are, they might say something to you about that. There's cats and dogs everywhere. Muslims are probably used to the idea of cats. Some Muslims are weird about dogs. There's dogs everywhere. I mean, it just is the case. Most of these dogs, you'll see they have like a tag on their ear, because my understanding is that the city municipality has a service that goes around and makes sure that they're all healthy and things like that and keeps track of them. I'm told that they also give them a mild sedative. The dogs aren't going to attack you. The dogs aren't going to bother you, but they just are there. And you want to pay attention to where you walk, because there's cats and dogs everywhere. One of the things I love about Turkish people is that they're not paying attention that much to what other people do. Like, they're not really Karens. They're not going to get in your business. They're not trying to talk to the manager. They're pretty much unaware of what you're doing and what you got going on, unless you do something that upsets the norms. So if you're just doing your thing, nobody's really even going to notice you. Now, if you disrespect Ataturk, if you talk English too loud, wear your shoes inside the mosque, or you don't wear socks in the mosque or something, you don't wear a hijab, somebody might notice that. But for the most part, people are not tripping. That's a really good thing. It also is rough, though, when it comes to things like getting in a line or sharing space. You know, there's a lot that I learned from this culture that I'm like, man, their culture is really sane and healthy and human and well and natural, and it's really dope. These are really, really good people. Every now and then there's something about the West that I feel like, no, the West got this one right. I will say that like when you're getting on the train, everybody will just crowd around the area right by in front of the door of the train. Like people don't think of like the movement of everybody else. They just don't think like that. So like they'll get on the train and stand right in the doorway and there's 30 other people trying to get on the train. It's another thing that things get really crowded in the afternoon and evening. A lot of times Turkish people don't really even start thinking about coming out of their house, especially on a weekend, like 11, 12, 1 in the afternoon. So if you get on the ferry or if you go to a touristic kind of place or just a pop-in place in general, it's going to be extremely packed from like 3 o'clock until 10 at night. Also, people here stay up really late and kids stay up really late. So you'll be at a park at like 10 p.m. and you'll just see a kid running. And it seems like they're not even being supervised. People here get started late. They stay out late. Just the way that they navigate personal space and things like that is just different. So if people are in your space or if people are kind of pushing you or crowding you or something like that, just try to be patient with it. That's just how it is. There's a lot of hills. It's not really a manners thing. You just need to know that there's a lot of hills. You're going to be walking up and down some hills. It's not really avoidable. Just take your time. It'll be okay. Drink some water. It's okay to stop. It's not a marathon. It's not a race. And the map app isn't always going to tell you that. A lot of times you tell the map, like, I want the walking directions to this place. And they'll be like, okay, here's the quickest route. They don't tell you that there's an enormous hill in between you and that place. You're just going to have to learn it as you go. But welcome to Istanbul. You can get some cardio for sure. Even the people here who aren't particularly religious, a lot of times will observe just kind of general modesty. Men and women who don't know each other, aren't related to each other, there's going to be the expectation that women are going to have privacy and like autonomy with their space, and also the expectation is not to touch women. With everybody in general, the kind of the national salute is to put your hand over your heart. So if you put your hand over your heart and you do like a little nod and you say, salam, marhaba, that's the best way for men and women to greet each other. A lot of times in America, people are so used to expecting access to touching each other. It's one of the things that we don't even realize. To meet a woman, you would expect to have access to touching her or hugging her, being in her space, even if they don't appear religious to you. The default is that women are going to have their own space. They're going to have the right of way when you're walking on a sidewalk. If there's a man and a woman coming opposite ways or the same way, there's only room for one to walk in the sidewalk, one to walk in the street. The man's going to walk in the street, the woman's going to walk on the sidewalk. The same is true if there's an elder. The same is true if there's somebody with a child. When you're on the train, you're expected to get up if there's an elder. And by elder, I mean somebody that's like your parents' age or older. You should not be sitting down if there's an elder in the area. If there's a pregnant woman, if there's someone with a bunch of kids, those people are always going to sit down. And then also if it comes down to even between people in a similar circumstance, a man and a man is always going to let the woman sit down. Women have the right of way. Women have privacy. This is another one that just deals with be quiet, but like in hallways of apartment buildings. The norm is for people to be pretty quiet in the hallway, to not be loud. People might be loud when they're in their apartment, but then when they go into the shared echoey kind of space of like a hallway, Turks are going to be really, really quiet, usually. And it's best to just be quiet in those places and not yell and not do loud goodbyes and all that kind of stuff. It's also really cool that if you're coming from the West and you have Westerner friends who now live in Turkey, to hit them up and say, hey, what do you need from the store? Because there's always cereal and spices and cough drops and all type of stuff that we can't get here, but that we like. And so if you can throw some of those things in your bags for your friends who live in Turkey, they will really thank you for it. A few things to know about praying in mosques in Turkey. Obviously, we take our shoes off, but you'll see in most places, before you step into the actual mosque area where the rugs and things are, there's kind of a middle space where there's almost like a little miniature boardwalk. Now, what the Turks want to happen is that the sock that touches the floor inside the mosque has never touched the ground outside the mosque, and vice versa. So what you do is when you get to that boarded place, you take the shoe off and your sock does not touch the pavement outside. In their mind, if your sock touches the pavement, it's not like this in all Muslim countries, by the way, but in their mind, if your sock touches the pavement outside, it's contaminated now, and you might as well just be wearing your shoes up in here, even if your toe just touches. They're pretty specific about it. It's just their agreement. That's what they do here. Likewise, your shoe should never touch that boarded area, even that in-between area. So, I mean, by the time you get inside inside the carpeted area of the mosque, you're definitely not going to be touching with anything that touched the street. You want to make sure to, like I said, wear shoes that are easy to slip on and off. Slip them off right when you're going onto that boarded area, and then carry them and put them away. And then when you come back, a lot of times you'll see a shoehorn by the doorways of mosques too, if that's helpful for you. But you're going to step out, and your toe and your sock that touches inside your shoes and inside the mosque ideally should not touch the pavement outside, because the pavement outside is where the cats are peeing and everything else is happening. So they keep a really good balance in between outside and inside for homes and for mosques. When you go into a Turkish home, you take your shoes off before you even walk through the door. And so a lot of times it'll be a similar situation where they'll have a mat or something like that. Sometimes they'll have a shoe rack, but your shoes should not touch the inside of somebody's apartment. The people in Istanbul historically follow the Hanafi madhab, or the Hanafi way of praying. In Sunni Islam, there are 4 major schools and like approaches to practicing the religion. All the foundational fundamentals are the same, but there are some details that are different. The standard here is to pray in the Hanafi way. They prefer that people wear a hat when they pray. You know, sometimes you'll see the Malikis or some of the Shiites will pray with their hands at their sides. There's nothing wrong with doing that. No one's going to stop you from doing that. The best manners, though, are to pray in the way that the Turks pray, so that you're not distracting for them. Because of the fact that Turks are a somewhat homogenous group of people, they're not really used to people coming in and praying differently. In the spirit of general kindness and awareness and good manners and not wanting to be disruptive and just general respect, it's just best to know that. Another thing to know about the adhan and the prayers and things like that over the loudspeaker is that for most of the year, they call the adhan 1 hour before sunrise, not at the actual time that Fajr comes in. And so if you're fasting, you got to look at your app on your phone to know when to start fasting. Because the idea is, and this is one of the Hanafi opinions, if you do it right at the time Fajr comes in, it's pretty unlikely that people are actually going to pray together in the mosque. Whereas you delay it to about 1 hour, they call the adhan 1 hour before sunrise, there are more people that'll come. And they give a little time in between the adhan, the call for prayer, and when they actually pray. So in your hotel, in your Airbnb, whatever, if you set your alarm about an hour before sunrise, you'll hear the adhan, you can make a quick wudu, and then you can run over there and pray in the mosque. Another thing to know is that on Thursday nights, they do salawat before they call the adhan for Isha. So they're reciting prayers for the Prophet Muhammad on Thursday night in honor of the fact that it technically has become Jummah, and there's certain spiritual implications for sending prayers on the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So you'll hear even before the adhan for Isha, Allahumma salli ala sayyidina. You'll hear them start to recite like that. Another thing is that if you hear someone on the speaker start to recite something and it's well after Fajr time, usually in the morning, in between Fajr time and Dhuhr time, that means that someone in that neighborhood passed away and there's going to be a janazah or a funeral at that mosque. And so if you go to that particular mosque where they were reciting that around Asr time, you can witness a Turkish funeral, which is something that I really highly recommend. The whole neighborhood comes out, the religious people do the funeral prayer together, and the body is sitting there in a temporary casket with a green covering over it with some Quran and things written on it in gold writing. And the family is standing there, and so you go and you pray for the person and you can greet the family, give them your condolences. If you want to give them money, you can, something like that. But a lot of times people will be talking and you can learn something about the person who died. And then if you want to, you can go to the burial ground with them and you can actually see the person be buried. And it's not weird at all to attend the funeral of people you don't know. If you get a chance to visit a Turkish hammam or bathhouse, I highly recommend it. Here's a little something about how it goes. The actual authentic bathhouses are going to be segregated by gender. Some of them have a space for men and a space for women. Some of them are entirely for men, some are entirely for women. And then some of them, women go in the morning before the noon prayer and men go exclusively in the afternoon and evening after the noon prayer. So you might just want to check in and just see which kind you're going to. The basic way that they work is that you take your shoes off before you go in, they give you slippers to put on, and they give you a key. That key is going to be for a changing room. You have a little area that you can go in there, you can sit down. There's like a little bed if you want to lay down and relax. But you take off your clothes and they will give you either a towel or some shorts For women, I don't know how they do it. Even when you get in the shower areas, the sauna areas, people here are not completely nude in front of other people. The Prophet Muhammad said that modesty is the crowning virtue of the religion of Islam. And so it's not just women covering their hair, but then even in situations like that, swimming or something, the private parts are always going to be covered. So once you get changed, you leave your clothes and your possessions inside your little cabin, and then your key goes around your wrist. You walk in and you start by doing a low rinse shower. Sometimes they'll have like Western style showers, or sometimes it'll be sinks that are full of water that have like a little dish in them. And you take that dish and you just rinse your whole body to wash the outside off of your body. Then there's a series of steamy, hot conditions that you just subject yourself to. So a lot of times they'll have like a sauna like you would find in a gym or health club in America, the kind with the like wooden walls. A lot of times they have a steam room. And sometimes these steam rooms and saunas are extremely hot. The idea is to stay until you're a little bit uncomfortable and then stay a little bit longer, because you're trying to sweat all the toxins out, but you're also opening up the pores of your skin, because that's what's about to get scrubbed off in a second. A lot of them also have swimming pools. They also have a marble thing, raised thing in the middle of the floor that kind of looks like a table, and it's warm, and it's just another thing that warms your body and helps relax your muscles, relax your pores, sweat out all the stuff, and just get you generally loose and ready to get washed. Then once you've had a good sweat, once your pores are open, don't take a lot of showers. Don't cool off, because that closes your pores back up, that tenses your muscles back up. Try to withstand it as long as you can, the heat and the sweating and the steam and all that kind of stuff. And then when you're ready, your bather for men is going to be a big, hairy Turkish dude that lives in your neighborhood if you go to your neighborhood spot. One of the really beautiful things is just getting used to men caring for each other. There's nothing weird about it. You don't need to say any stupid hood thing like no diddy or pause or anything like that. Men showing what it's like and how natural it is to actually care for each other and touch each other and handle each other. So they're going to pick your arm up and they're going to start scrubbing you. They have a glove with some lines on it, and they're going to start scrubbing you. And it's going to be rough, but you're going to see a full layer of skin come off your body. Just like as Americans, you don't know how loud you are. We also don't know how dirty we are. I mean, a layer of skin is going to come off your body. You're going to be like, yo, how was I walking around with all this nasty, dirty, dead skin on my body? But even if you use Buff Puff and exfoliate and have a loofah and a scrubbing brush and all that, it's not like this. You're about to experience something that you've never experienced before. This is different. And then after they do that, they ask you if you want a massage, and you should say yes. And they're going to start rubbing you, and it's not going to be like a massage at Aveda. This is a different type of massage. Like, they're there to crack stuff, put their knees and elbows into stuff. It's kind of on the rough side. And what I learned is that the rougher they are, the more they think that you're a real dude. Not a real man, but like you're a real one. You're a real person. Like you're one of us. If they're taking it easy on you, it's because they think you're a tourist and you can't handle it. So sometimes you got to tell them like, man, give me the real thing. After you do that, they're going to pull out like a sheet of bubbles. And that's what they use to massage you. So then once you get done with all of that, then you go do another shower, another rinse. You can sit and sweat some more if you want to, but you're going to end that whole process with a shower, and they give you a clean towel to put on. It looks like a sarong, if you know what that is. And now one or maybe two men are going to come over and dry you. This is a new experience for us a lot of times in the West. They dry you off and they wrap you in towels. They wrap one around your head, one around your upper body. They wrap towels around your lower body. You're going to sit in like a lounge area that's in between the steam room and outside. Your pores can slowly come back together. Your body can slowly start to adjust. You start to dry, because you don't just want to go from sweating like that and being scrubbed like that directly out into the elements. You need to transition back. Usually they're going to be watching TV, the news. They might be arguing about the economy. They might be watching a Turkish series or Turkish movie, but you can order drinks and things like that. Make sure that before and after you drink a lot of water. This is most traditionally done on Thursday night, because the Muslims take a bath on Thursday night to get ready for Jummah the next day. So it's a really beautiful thing. It's a really healing thing to do. You know that feeling you have when you get your teeth cleaned and like all you want to do is just breathe through your teeth because like you're feeling the parts of your teeth where the plaque used to be? It's the same thing when you walk outside after going to the hammam. You're going to realize like the air is touching me in ways that it has never touched me in a very long time. I did not know how dirty I was, and I can't believe how clean I am. You're going to want to schedule your cab to go to the airport early. It can be very unpredictable. What you don't want to happen is you can't find a cab or people keep canceling or whatever, and then you end up rushing when you get to the airport. Also plan to spend at least an hour in transit. If you're going to fly out at 5 in the afternoon, I would be calling a cab at 1 in the afternoon to leave at 5. Another thing to know is that there are some pretty legit stores inside the airport. So if you forgot to get a gift or if you couldn't find what you were looking for or whatever, there are some pretty legit stores there, but they're expensive. That's the only thing. When you're flying out of the Istanbul airport, there is a Shake Shack there. So again, if you are really excited that there's halal fast food, I wouldn't get on a plane with a bunch of Shake Shack in my stomach, but if you want to, then I guess everybody's just going to have to live with that. But also there's a store there called LC Waikiki, which you may want to remember while you're in Turkey in general. LC Waikiki is a clothing store, really, really affordable. But it's not like Zara, H&M. It's not as like fashionable as all that. But I mean, if you need to grab a t-shirt or some socks, or if you forgot your swimming suit or something like that, there are LC Waikiki stores all over the place. And there is one at the airport, like when you're going through the main terminal. There's hotels right around the airport, but specifically there's one that's inside the airport called Yotel, Yotel. It's decently priced. It's going to be a little bit more expensive because of the location, but it's not that bad considering you're staying at the actual airport. But when you're booking it, you want to make sure that you pay attention to whether you want to check in the side outside security or if you want to check in the side that's inside security. So if you just have an overnight layover and you don't want to go outside, you can stay inside security. And then likewise, if you stay on the side that's outside security, then you can come and go as you please. Somebody could come and visit you or something at your hotel, but you just have to plan that you're going to need to go through security again when it's time to fly out. So again, be quiet when you come to Istanbul, pay attention. But really, really, I pray that you're able to visit this place. I mean, I came here several years ago. My wife came here to visit and we both had dreams of living here. There's a video I found on my phone from a few years ago that made me cry because it was me visiting friends here. And I was at the Yeni Valide Mosque in Üsküdar. And I was just marveling at the fact that like, this is his local mosque. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is just where he comes for his regular Friday Jummah prayers. I'm like, this place is amazing and the vibe in here is incredible. And it brought me to tears a little bit because now that's my Friday mosque, And if you come to this place, chances are you're going to want to stay, but it's a very, very beautiful place, especially if you can just kind of put your Western entitlement aside and the growth that can happen and the experience of just connecting with something that's tied to very deep cultural, spiritual practices is really profound. It's hard to find something like that in America. So I pray you have a good trip. Let me know in the comments anything that you think I messed up. I'm totally fine. These are my experiences, my observations, my opinions. These are the things that I do. These are the things that I tell people. Feel free to tell me I'm wrong, especially if you're Turkish. If you're a Turkish person, you have every right to tell me how wrong I am about everything I just said, and we'll listen to you because this is your country. But this is my attempt to share with my folks when they come here some beautiful ways to enjoy it and to do it respectfully. We're brought to you by the Zakat Foundation, zakat.org is their website. Go and check it out. They've done a lot for the people of Turkey and they have an office. The president of the organization is actually from Turkey. It's a dope organization. Put something on it. I also have music. I do online writing workshop series. I got shows. We have t-shirts. We got t-shirts for this podcast. If any of this stuff has benefited you, like it, share it, subscribe to it. We got a caravan thing where you get everything free and early and you get to be part with the special people and all that good stuff. BrotherAli.com is our website. This is a podcast that happens every week, so make sure to come back here if this is your first time. We love you, appreciate you. Travelers Podcast is produced by Brendan Kelly, aka BK1, and it's a product of Travelers Media. Love you a lot. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Guru Shurus.